Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live with another quick tips tutorials brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Elements Custom Tutorials Group. And let's jump right in with today's poster. Want us to know how to isolate this photo of their family member along here with Paul McCartney. And what we want to do is get rid of all the other people and maybe add a nice background. Now, I heard that this was actually at a movie studio, so we might put some sort of studio background that we can find online. So the first thing I'm looking at this photo is it's not the greatest photo. If you zoom in, you're going to see how fuzzy the edges are on the lines of everything here. It's super fuzzy. So we're not going to be able to use too much of the polygon tool to cut them out because otherwise the lines are going to be too sharp. Because the photo is originally kind of fuzzy, you want to cut them out with kind of a fuzzy edges so that it doesn't look fake. So I'm going to first start cutting out the portions that I can cut out easily before I start going with these other parts down here. So I'm going to take an eraser, come down here to the brushes. Now you see this circle here, it's got a hard edged brush. We don't want a hard edged brush. Let's scroll up to the soft edge brushes like this. So let's make this something like 10 points, nice and small. And then we could just start literally cutting out from one edge and just draw along the edge of your subject. Now, what's nice about this is that I don't have to follow all of this like up here where it kind of frays. I can just cut that part out because what the audience doesn't know exists doesn't really matter. So you can kind of create your own edges just the way you want them to be. If there was a piece of hair sticking out too far, you just cut it out. Nobody notices. And I'm going to cut along the hairline here like this and see how easy that is. I'm going to come back up here. And once I get down here where they start to match up, I'm just going to just come down a little bit further and then come over here and start cutting Paul out. And we'll just kind of come down here like that. Now we have a series of straighter lines. I can do shift clicking where I click, hold the shift down and click over here, and then click, hold the shift down and click. And that does a series of straight lines, which makes portions that are straighter a lot easier to do. I'll zoom out, and now we can take the polygon tool and cut in between all those lines. I'm not going to use the lasso, but I'll use the polygon lasso. And down below this, it doesn't really matter what we do. So I'm going to start down on one corner here. And I'll just start right around here. Come on up to, I'm going to keep as much of his shirt that I can. And I'm cutting by clicking the left mouse button and creating a series of straight lines, which is the polygon lasso tool, making sure not to touch the inside or the outside. Since I don't need any of this, I'm just going to cut along here like that and keep anything that we can keep. Once I get to the bottom portion here, I can just finish off what I want to cut out by going over to the edge, come back up to the top edge, click it, go over to here and click and come down to where I started. Now when I double click, that closes the loop in the polygon tool. I'll zoom out so you can see the marching ants. When I hit delete, boom, it gets rid of everything else but what we want to keep. Now, let's start with the simplest part that's most obvious. Now, this portion right here of Paul, I think we can cover that by duplicating his jacket and bringing it over to this side. So let's go ahead and, with that polygon tool, I'll grab the polygon lasso, which allows me to draw a big circular lasso over what I want to do. So if I kind of just copy all of this down to the center, come on over and bring it over to here like this, let go. I right click and hit copy. That just made a copy. If I turn off the background, this is our new copy of what we just made. Now I'll turn the background back on. Now we want to place that here, but it's obviously backwards. Let's turn it around by going to Image, Rotate, Horizontal, and boom, look at that. It's almost in the right place. Now I'm going to bring them up a little bit higher so I can play around with this. If I want to see where I'm going to place this, I'm going to make this see-through. So I've come up here to opacity, change it from 100 to like 50% or so, and now I can really see where I can place it. If I match the drawstring, that brings us a lot closer to what we're looking for to start off with. So if I bring that down here, you can see that's looking pretty good. But the shoulders aren't matching as much as we want. So what I'm going to do is maybe use a little bit of distortion and pull this corner up so that the shoulder matches. If I go to Image, Transform, and Distort, that allows me to pick any corner here, such as this one, and I can bring it in or I can bring it out, and it just affects that corner mostly. So if I bring it out to match the shoulder right around here, look at that. That's matching the original shoulder as close as possible and keeping in line with this drawstring. So now that I got that kind of where I want it to be, if I bring the opacity back up to 100%, now we can see what we got. And then we can erase what we don't need by bringing this back down to, let's say, 60% or so. Grab an eraser, come down here to the brush, make sure it's a soft brush, not a hard brush from up here, but a soft brush down right around. Nice big fat one, 100 points. Look how big this brush is. I'll toggle this to look and see what I want to get rid of. And I think I want to get rid of this right around here like that. And then I think I also want to get rid of the drawstring, leaving the old drawstring. So I'll make this down to about 50 point and just come down along that old drawstring like this. There. And once we're past this, we don't need all that much, so I'm going to just kind of chop all that off over there. I'm going to turn off the background because there's this left over here we need to get rid of. With the polygon tool, the lasso, I can easily just lasso all of this here and hit delete, and that's gone. Turn the background back on, and look at that. That's a pretty convincing half of a body here. And with the smudge brush, let's get a nice small, like a 40 point soft smudge brush. I can smudge out some of the original pocket like this so that it's not in the way. You can't really tell what it is. Then grab the top layer and bring that pocket up a little bit by smudging that over like this. See that? And that's looking pretty realistic. Now once again, on this side, because this graphic here is cut off, that I'm going to be better if I just smudge that out like this before I start copying anything. So let's smudge carefully that one graphic out. It really won't make that big of a difference if you don't know that it's there. And using this smudge brush allows us to kind of just draw by hand what we need here. And basically create something from nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now once I get down here to where earbuds are, I can always just try to recreate earbuds like this, just drawing them in. And then I can take the smudge brush and just smudge the rest of that color inside those lines. See that? And it doesn't have to be perfect because this is going to be such a small portion of the photo. As long as they're pretty close, that's all that matters. As soon as I deselect, there we go. We got our headsets back where we want them. And now we kind of built up a new arm from nothing. Let's go ahead and grab that shoulder, bring it over here, make a copy of it using the polygon lasso tool, just like we did before. From this corner here, come down to the center of the shirt and grab all of this here. I'm going to right click, hit copy, boom. Take that copy, bring it over here, go to image, rotate horizontally. And now we got one on this side. I can make that opacity 50%. Try to match something up here like the shoulders and the drawstring here. And that's looking pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing at all. I'm going to go ahead and merge that layer down with the other layer. And there we go. We sharpened up the edges here, and that's looking pretty good. Now we might want to slightly change their positions just a little bit. So I'm straightening them out. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to cut them out together using the rectangular marquee here. And I'll just make a square around him here like this. On the left, right click and hit cut. Look up here. It made two separate layers, the left one and the right one. It's that easy. Now what we want to do is let's bring them into a background. So we chose a nice background, movie set background like this, and what we want to do is come back to this project, choose them both by shift clicking. Now I got them both, and with the left mouse button, drag them up to the new project, which is the background, bring the mouse down and let go, and look at that. Just drop them right in where we want. Now all you got to do is just resize them to what looks natural. So now we can leave it as it is and crop everything, or we could do a little color correction. I can take the background, go to Enhance, and hit Color Correction, and I like how it took some of the color out, but not as much. So I can go back to Color, Adjust Hue and Saturation, and bring a little bit of that saturation either to black and white or somewhere in between. Kind of like that right around here. This looks pretty good. And there you go. All we got left is to take the cropping tool and crop this picture out to something that we like, maybe right around something like this. Hit OK, and there we go. We got us a nice photo reproduction of Paul McCartney and Nephew. Just go to File and Save as a JPEG, and that's all there is to it. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. And this is Rich calling it quits for this tutorial, saying over and out.